I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the reliability, some of the cost issues, and a little bit of just about carbon and how it kind of relates to agriculture. First of all, when we're looking at, just the numbers with regard to power. Right now, if you look at the cost of megawatt hour for coal, it's $35 per megawatt hour. The cost for natural gas is $28 per megawatt hour. The cost for nuclear is $37 per megawatt hour. If you look at what the expected cost, according to the American experiment, is for the cost of solar, it's $272 per hour, per megawatt hour. That's 10 times the cost. If you look at the cost, according to the American experiment, on the cost of wind, it's $471 per megawatt hour. That's 17 times higher than what we pay right now for natural gas. I traveled in southern Minnesota. I used to live down by Hendricks. The land that I lived on, they put about 6 windmills on. If you go to southern Minnesota and you look at their windmills, they got lots of windmills. Currently in Minnesota, we have about 4,000 windmills. We're going to need, according to them, 47,000 windmills. I hope you're ready for some windmills in your backyards, because it's going to take a lot of windmills. For every 8 acres of ag land, we'll get 1 megawatt hour of electricity. We certainly aren't going to get much power from that. And we're going to need to use about 100,000 acres of ag land for this. I want to talk a little bit about, so that's a little bit about the cost. Reliability, we saw MISO, we're looking at about 15% right now of our electricity comes from solar or wind. But I want to talk a little bit about carbon. So we had a nice exchange, had a great exchange with my friends in transportation. Representative Kraft, you're one of the nicest guys there. I really appreciate visiting with. Chair Hornstein was great. But we talked, we had an expert in the room, and it was great to visit. And I had a few questions for them, and I've been doing my homework. And so I said, what's the level of carbon in the air right now? And they said 419. I said, that's the number I have, 416 parts per million of carbon in the air. I said, what is the level of carbon that soybeans grow best at? And I've been in agriculture my whole life. And so I looked it up. What's the best level of carbon in the air for soybeans? 416 parts per million of carbon. I said, let's talk about corn. I asked the expert, I said, what is the level of carbon in the air that works best, is the right level to grow corn? 420 parts per million of carbon. We can actually have more carbon in the air. So then I asked the question, I said, Jesus, we're really getting somewhere here. This is really important stuff. So I said, well, when does photosynthesis stop? When do plants stop growing? What is the level of carbon in the air for plants to stop growing? They didn't know, but I do. That level, you can look it up, is about 189 parts per million of carbon. And so what happens between 189 and 416 if we drop it and drop it and drop it? The answer is we grow less crops. And I like all the communities to do well, every community, but I do know that they really appreciate eating their food. And we need to look at everything. I think it just takes a really balanced approach. We didn't get the opportunity to talk about any of this stuff anywhere else. We were told this is settled science. Everything's settled here. But I was talking yesterday, we talked about, all the different benchmarks there's been over the years. At one point, guy said that the Statue of Liberty is going to be up to its elbow in water. We have a lot of room. We can talk a little bit more about this. There's a bunch of nice things that have been done with carbon sequestration. My oldest boy worked in a coal mine in Gillette, Wyoming for a while. There's a lot of things that are done in ethanol to help this out. We don't need to go down the road of wind and solar. Wind and solar, it'll take 20 years for wind to replace it. 20 years, every 20 years, we'll finally start to redo it. And every year after the 20 years, we'll have to put 2,500 new ones up every single year till the end of time. And so anyway, my vote is this is not ready. We can do a lot of good things here, but this is not one of them. So there's a lot of room here, but the whole climate thing, we need more conversation, and I do appreciate that time we had. Thank you.